Hey there, welcome to Philosophy All Along. So, in the first part of this conversation, we were talking about War of the Rohirrim, and specifically, I was talking about how I think, for a very obvious reason, right? It's about a war. The film does a great job of addressing this kind of fascinating psychological construction that we make for men to protect them from their warfare expendability. In other words, my argument kind of here being is that men to a society are generally treated as if they are less valuable in the production of children in that society. Now, that is not my saying that men are not placed on pedestals, given entitlements and privilege, and that they don't get way more than is their due. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that the way more that they're getting might well be because of this need to protect men's psyche from the simple math that every dude has to know, and he's going off to warfare, which is that he's kind of expendable. If he wasn't expendable, right, he'd be the president of the United States sitting in the back, right? The king or the monarch or the person who was able to, you know, uh, get exempted from the draft because they have bone spurs or whatever. Right? Like if you have the money, the wealth, the power, well, who are the other people that you don't send to your warfare, especially back in the day? Your children, right? Well, they're the future of your society. If all your children die off, you have a huge problem. And the women. And the argument has become, well, the women can't fight as well, they're not as strong. And, well, this is malarkey, right? I mean, I look at myself and I think, okay, it's wild to me that like at my both my age and my stature, that are people like, well, better you than a woman. I'm like, there are women who are sharpshooters, there are women who are big, buff, badasses who could pick me up and body slam me. And you're telling me that I'm because of some genetic predisposition just better for warfare? No, I think I'm just more expendable because if you have one guy left in your society, well, he can provide all of the DNA that you need to help rebuild your society as long as you have enough women. But if you don't have enough women, you're dead. Your society is crushed. And so I do think 100% that men are treated as golden and special, and you see it over and over and over again at our media and so on and so forth, these hero epics with men over and over and over again. But I can't help but wonder if it's part of this, like, let me protect the ego, tend the ego of these guys who, at the end of the day, for thousands of years, whenever we engaged in warfare, well, who are we sending out? Well, we're going to send out the people who are, at the end of the day, the ones that our society is going to miss the least in terms of rebuilding our society after war. So I think that War of the Rohirrim connects to this very, 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 very nicely because I think it's that exact psychological terror of being expendable, unwanted, unnecessary that Hera exploits in dealing with Wolf, right? He is just mind-bendingly obtuse in his unwillingness to accept advice, to recognize when he wins. Like, it's wild that he has a general that he just completely and utterly ignores. If you just count the number of times the general's like, so I think you've won, or you should do this in order to win. And he's like, nah, I'm not doing that. Like, why do you have a general at that point? Why do you why do you keep him around? So she is willing to exploit the fact that he is a very tunnel visioned person, right? That what is really motivating him is not winning a war for his people, like her, right? What's motivating him is vengeance, enacting vengeance. And you think, well, he's going after his father. It's because of vengeance for his father, right? But when you look at that and you think about that, man, like what a patrilineal gesture it is. Well, you killed my father and you've denied marrying me. So you have, in fact, in this metaphorical way, killed my future children, right? Like you denied my family their breeding rights. You denied me my breeding rights. And so her rejection of him becomes the entire psychological motivation for a war, which ends with her putting on a bridal gown and using that to distract him. In other words, a reminder of his insufficiency. And isn't that just, oh man, the whole of male fragility in a box? But am I enough? Am I providing her with enough money? Am I providing her with enough status? Am I providing her with enough sexual power? Blah, blah, blah. I'm supposed to be a provider, right? And she exploits that, right? She says, you're not enough. And so he focuses in on her while the rest of their society is able to escape, and it gives time for the rest of the riders to come and help decimate his forces. And so I think that the film does a great job, albeit somewhat quietly, though it's doing it, I think, out in the open, right? Reconstructing the trope of the warrior princess as one who has a psychological power, has intelligence, as well as strength, and really points at and kind of laughs at masculine fragility, its connection to warfare, and its unwillingness, even after seeing the film, to recognize its own expendability, that it's really not that special, that it's not going out to war because it's the stronger, it's not going out and going to the fight because it's the better, because it's the protector, because it's the anointed special hero. It's out there, that masculine ego is out there, right? That masculine self is out there because it's the most expendable, right? Because it's the most the most easily rejected, the least needed. And I think that just like kind of gets in the head of Wolf. And she does a beautiful job exploiting that vulnerability that is built into him by the society around him. And it leads us to, in our final thoughts about it, kind of go, well, how does that still reflect on us now, right? Like no longer technically in a warrior tribal society, so on and so forth. And how much of our society's actions can be explained by male terror of rejection, of not being needed, of being expendable, right? How many problems in our society exist, like Wolf's problems, of guys going and just doing like how could Vladimir Putin be explained in terms of masculine fragility? And I can't help but look at that photo of him on the horse, shirtless, aged and kind of frumpy, and think, man, maybe it does. All right. So thank you so much for your time. It's a pleasure getting to talk with you today. Please, if you like this, like and subscribe. Please share it with other people. Encourage your friends to join. If you have an idea for something that you would like to hear discussed, please let me know. I'd love to make a video about it. So thank you so much and have a wonderful day.